Hey everyone. I made some really bad decisions today, but I ended up profitable nevertheless. So let me show you what I did. I took three trades. First trade of the day, this is Microsoft, and out of the gate, it went straight down and breached previous day low. This red line is previous day low. Meanwhile, it's above its rising 8-day moving average. The exponential 8-day moving average is rising. So I figured, you know what? I'm going to give this thing a shot because it came back above previous day low. And so I thought there was a chance that it could just continue higher. So I took the trade right about here on this first candle, basically a reclaim above previous day low. Initially made some money. I scaled out a couple of positions, very small amounts, and then it came against me. And then eventually I stopped out of that trade for a very small loss. I think I lost like $200 or something. So that was my first trade of the day. And then after that, I went to Amazon, which did a similar thing. So it came right down and wicked below previous day low. And it just did it for a second and came right back up, which is a better sign to me. And meanwhile, it's got a rising 21 day. You'll see this 21D is the 21-day exponential moving average is rising. That's why it's green. 8-day is rising. And by the end of the day, the 2-day was rising as well. But of course, at the time, this purple line is very similar to the 2-day moving average. So in any case, it was right in this area here that I took that trade. And so initially it popped up, then it came back down, which tested me. But then it came back up and it came back up into this area here. But there was no follow through and it wanted to come down again before it continued on its way. So I actually followed it up into this range here, but it started going against me and I stopped out of this trade. I did make money. I made about $1,400 on this trade, but it wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. Now, of course, in the end, this actually was the better trade because I ended up going back to Microsoft, and I'll show you that in just a second. But this trade was basically just flagging, and I should have trusted the pattern. I should have trusted the pattern. It was above the VWAP. It was just testing, and then it had a really nice extension all the way up past previous high of day, which is right here. So this was a good trade, and I missed it. I made 1,400, but it wasn't the trade that I wanted. So, like I said, I went back to Microsoft, and I took Microsoft right in this range here. I think it was right on that candle, right on this green candle is when I took that position. And it came back one more time to test the low. And I actually added significantly to the position down here. And then I took this run. Now, this run, I was expecting it to go back up to the high of this candle, this big breakdown candle, this big red candle. Normally, I would expect the stock to go back to the source of that breakdown, basically the scene of the crime. And so I was expecting it to go higher. So I scaled out significantly through here, but I still had positions on when it came up and tested the open. This blue line is the opening print. So it tested the opening print and also this trend line. And it just stayed here, stayed here, stayed here, and it would not advance. It took too long. I became suspicious of it. And sure enough, it started to break down. So I stopped out. So let me show you the P&L. Here's Microsoft here between two different trades. I made just over 4,600. And then on the Amazon trade, I made 1,489. And I'll show you the my filled orders. There's a whole ton of them here. So it starts at the bottom of the day. So here is the initial Microsoft order where I bought calls and then I was scaling out. Then it came back that one time and I bought more and scaled out here. And then this last one here is where I sold the 18. I had 18 left and I sold them all. So that was a small loss. This whole trade was a small loss. Here was the Amazon trade, and I bought in and I scaled in like significantly as it tested me, which I don't like doing, but I felt like I had to do it. So by the end of it, I had a pretty significant position. Started scaling out in through here. I bought a couple of more, and then I scaled out finally here at the end. So that was the $1,400 trade. And then here was this big, I mean, this tested me like crazy. This Microsoft order was not easy. It was frustrating. And yet again, I bought in and I scaled in dramatically, even way down at 87 cents. when my initial purchase was 122, and I even bought some at 149. So I was not happy here. I trusted the pattern. It was basically a flag, so I stuck with it. I don't like doing that because I was down significantly at this point, but I still trusted the pattern. And then sure enough, it turned around, and then I started scaling out at $1.41, $1.64, 75, 88, got into the twos, and got up as high as 251 was the highest scale out. And then at the end, like I said, it didn't do what I wanted to do, and it eventually failed. So I made good money, but it wasn't the way I wanted. It wasn't the way I wanted. So when I was out basically right here on that red candle, I think is where I finally got out of that position. But like I said, overall profitable day. Let me just pull it back so you can see the numbers here at the end of the day. Total P&L was, there's some other positions here. These are just treasury bills, but 6,092 for the day based on 3 trades. So thanks for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.